It's a battle of the bravest and the survival of the strongest. With shooting high cutoff lists and even 90% not guaranteeing admission in an A-list college in India, students are jet-setting overseas.
Right, there is a substantial amount of pressure on, especially on high school students, because that's a crucial time for them. They have to get into engineering colleges or other sorts of universities, and because of sheer numbers, it's extremely competitive in India. One of the primary reasons for students choosing to study abroad is getting out of their comfort zones and interacting with researchers from across the world, and thereby doing well in research.
While stressed out students and worried parents is a common sight as soon as class 12 board exams get over and admissions for colleges start, most students begin exploring the opportunity to go abroad. A more creative environment and colleges that accept percentages below a 90 makes foreign education a lucrative option.
I like to dibble-dabble in everything. Whatever is there in front of me, I like to go and catch it. So I realized if there are so many avenues open, I'm bound to get confused by the end of it. And at that point in time, when the 4-year system had not been incorporated in Delhi University, I was like, if I get through Delhi University, I'll have to choose a subject at the age of 18 and then continue with it for the rest of my life. That's a very, very big decision. So then I actually looked up other colleges in the States, and I realized the amount of flexibility that there is. And I was instantly attracted as any other student would be.
I have been in the state board for 10 years, and for 10 long years I've been thinking, why can't I think out of box? Why am I punished when I think out of box? And then I got an opportunity in IB, where I got an opportunity to think out of box. But later on I realized that once again, when I leave IB and I go to any other Indian institute, it will be the same old condition. Think in that closed box and just read, just learn and just reproduce. But then I thought like, okay, I might explore the world outside.
Education in the West is seen as more student-friendly, with an emphasis on learning and application of knowledge as contrasted with just getting a degree without gaining knowledge.
In the global scenario, the most important things that we try to inculcate in our students is their ability to learn how to learn. We try to also develop students to be holistic thinkers, think about things both from an analytical and a creative perspective, and to instill in them a certain set of values.
The key difference in the education system in India and in the West or in the US is that when you study in India, that knowledge is there with you, it's somewhere in your memory. But when you study abroad, it's almost like it's embedded in your bloodstream. And whenever you need a particular thing or insight, it comes to you naturally when you need it. So it's a part of you in a natural, spontaneous way.
With dreams in their eyes and set for the skies, scores of Indian students go abroad to study every year. But it's a big bad world out there, and there are 1,000 questions that need to be addressed. What country would be ideal both to study and not be too expensive on the pocket? What course would be ideal? What should be the selection criteria for a good college? Does the country have a record of being accepting towards international students? Are there any scholarships that will be available? And what makes it more complicated is that there is a deluge of information available on the internet. But where do you start?
I try to look for options on my own, and it's a very long procedure. So and there are many things involved. So I actually couldn't do it on my own.
I tried doing it to my own. I went on Google, I typed the names and stuff, but there was a lot of data. I couldn't comprehend all of this stuff. So I thought I would go to someone professional who knows what to do actually, how to take the next step and how to proceed with it.
For students and parents who are confused about how to even begin the process of admissions, especially shortlisting from a bewildering choice of colleges overseas, professional guidance and counseling can be the critical difference in turning their dreams into reality.
Students and parents should start thinking at least 2 years in advance, so that there is proper planning in terms of finances, in terms of academics, in terms of building a profile for the student, which becomes almost impossible for the university to refuse. So say for example, if the student wants to apply in August 2014, then he must take the test at least 15 months in advance, and he has to start applying about 12 months in advance.
As an Indian parent, I am not aware of the whole procedure, what is going to happen. How do we go about it? See, in India we know what is the procedure. We can come to know through net, but I think a first-hand information is needed, and the child needs that guidance.
Have wings, will fly. That's what correct guidance can do by opening the doors for a bigger and brighter future for students who have decided to study overseas.
The student decides to actually enroll with us, then the whole process of our admission guidance goes on an accelerated path. What I mean by that is, we then go through a series of engaging discussions in trying to understand the academic profile of the student, the extracurricular profile of the student, what are the likely test scores he's going to get, and why he wants to study abroad, what is the financial outlay that the parents have. So that's the initial discussion we have, which we call a profile analysis. Then we also try to see what the dream destination is, and in looking at these two things, we arrive at a roadmap. From here, where you are to where you want to go, what are the 3, 4, 5 important things that you need to do in order to get there. So that's what we call a profile analysis and making a roadmap.
For most students, it is this particular step of profile assessment and counseling which helps them get a clear picture of what their strengths and weaknesses are. And most parents learn something new about their children as well, like Sudha Bhojani, who discovered her son's artistic bent of mind through the psychometric assessment.
I could learn more about my children from the tests that they did. Like, I used to always, especially my son, I used to shout at him for being little lacking in maths and all. But it's through the test that I found out, his mechanical this thing level is a little less, and he's good more in artistic personality. So I should be pushing him in the designing, the game designing or something. So it was definitely a new chapter or a new perspective I could see my children through these analysis.
Firstly, I was able to shortlist colleges with the help. We had a complete profile evaluation where they did a SWOT analysis, focused on my strengths, weaknesses, how could I develop them further. And using that, we developed colleges. Then there was the tutoring part. I had teachers helping me with my verbal, with my quant. My maths was really weak. So they helped me pull it up, and then there was the verbal part. We had excellent teachers over here.
After the profile assessment and counseling, the next critical step is shortlisting the course in the university to which a student should apply. Professional guidance by a study abroad consultant can go a long way in helping you at this stage.
Ideally, I feel like now if I had to tell someone, I would say maximum 7, maximum 8 colleges. You cannot apply to more than that. I had applied to 12, 13, 6 to 8, yeah. That's basically it, right? Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Okay, go into each college, go into the location of the college, go into the education, like what the college is good at, academically especially.
They asked my preference, and I had my clear that I wanted to go to which country. Then after that, they evaluated my profile. They collected data from me in a form. Based on that and my profile, they suggested universities where similar kind of applicants have gone into. and where I have a high chance of getting. Plus keeping in mind my goal, where I want to go post MBA and in which field and which area.
On the other side of the break, get tips from experts on how you can create the dream application which will ensure that you walk into the college of your choice. If filling in application forms for college admissions in India is tough, filling an application form for universities abroad needs greater detailing and precision, especially if you are unsure about what they are seeking for in an applicant. Just like Priyanka, who left her job to pursue her education abroad, but soon realized that this very step of hers could hamper her selection into her dream university.
I resigned from my job 6 months back. But then recently when I had a consultation with the EG consultant, I got to know it's better to be in some program, better to be in touch with the subject, with the research field, rather than sitting at home and only doing the preparations. So right now I'm trying to get into the groove of getting in touch with my academics as well, because for the past 6 months I've totally lost the track.
There are other factors like extracurricular activities, community service, leadership work that you can do, and how you package your application. Now the most important thing is to start as early as possible. You can get into Ivy League in two different ways. One, you're got prodigy, some really smart people who just send their application, and we have so many smart people in India, really smart, and who have already stood out from the crowd. Someone who is already stood out from the crowd, they will have a decent chance of getting in. And the other one who starts early, the other way to get in, start early, work with a plan in high school, to better their profile according to the admission standards, to increase their chances.
The most crucial parts of the written application are the statement of purpose, letters of recommendations, and the essays. The SOPs need to be outlined meticulously in order to express the views and goals of the student and the reason behind choosing a particular college or university.
Now we see that many students, what they do is that they go to Google and then they just pick up some paras and they copy paste. Now that is definitely discarded at the first instance. So we advise students on actually bringing their inner feelings out in an SOP. We've got counseling sessions, we've got editors on our board, we've got mentors who work with the student.
The admissions committee looks for the student's soul behind these documents. For example, does the student's resume reflect what he claims in the essays? In fact, some of the universities even refer them to psychologists to analyze the ingenuity of an essay.
Then there's the essays, which take forever to write. I mean, I used to think I'm a good writer and I can write easily. But then when I started to write them, and there are at least three essays per school, which is a lot. And for them to be different from each other, and so that the ideas don't overlap. It's a very tedious job, and it's very difficult.
Many times I see that the students make this mistake. Oh, I'll write the essays in November and December, 15 days before the deadline. It's just not possible, because the essays are a very important piece in the entire application process, because they are a reflection of who the real person is beyond the scores and academics and the certificates. So we advise the students to start thinking about these essays much in advance, even if they haven't finalized the universities.
Once filling the application is handled smartly, it's the GMAT, GRE, SAT and the TOEFL exam that students now have to crack. And proper guidance can help them score well, increasing their chances of being selected by a good university.
Apart from the 60 hours of intensive coaching and the unlimited doubt clearing sessions that EG offers its students, we also have our own well-researched computer adaptive tests for GRE and GMAT, and we also administer 10 full-length tests for the student, with which the entire fear and the phobia that he has in his mind about giving tests is totally removed.
the most important question that they're going to ask you. Why do you want to study in the US?
Because there are no astrophysics degree available in India.
Helping you prepare for the tests, shortlists and essays are mentors who are alumni of the foreign universities and have been there and done that. EGE's unique mentorship program gives students a feel of what the experience of going abroad would look like, putting to rest many fears and apprehensions.
A lot of the students who apply to the top 50 or 100 universities abroad reach out to a friend or a cousin or a senior. Now what I want to ask them is, okay, you approach this friend. He has experience of only him or her applying. Does he know about the 100 other students who applied and didn't make it? Does he know about 100 other students who made it to better schools? Now that experience and wisdom and sample size that person you are approaching to doesn't have. The second very important point is that admission requirements of universities are not cast in stone. They change from year to year. They change, the course program, the course changes, the class needs, the diversity needs change. And therefore what they want from a student from India might change completely from one year to the other. So what you gathered from somebody who graduated so many years back, is it valid anymore? So our international officers who maintain a continuous dialogue with the universities abroad and the admissions officials try to gather this information as to what are they really looking for.
When you're talking to somebody who knows about the American system, and if you're talking to a person who's been in the American system, it's a big difference. So when I was going through my my mentorship session, I was with a lady who had been to Brown University, which again one college which I have applied to. So she knew the system, she had been there, she told me the plus points, she told me the negative points, and she told me that, you know, if I go there, I will have these facilities. If I go there, I won't have these facilities. So, you know, everything was actually cleared up. For example, it's very different for people to look up the internet. I could have looked up the internet and found, you know, what all courses they apply, but then that's very superficial.
Even after the entire application process is complete and the students have heard from the universities of their choice, the process does not stop there. In fact, there's the beginning of a new phase where the students need to know what they are gearing up for.
Most basic query was like, will I be able to mingle with the culture which is experienced abroad? I have been abroad for like a month and I realized that it's actually not that easy to mingle with people. So EGE gave me a guarantee that they will be helping me out even after I get admissions in college. So that is what actually gave me a motivation to, okay, yes, I can really think about going abroad.
And finally, a pre-departure workshop which will equip students with all that they need to know about the country where they will be spending the next 2 or 3 years of their life. Information that will make them feel comfortable in a foreign land.
Once the student gets an admit, then a different series of steps start. So the first step is the visa counseling. So in visa counseling, we only advise the student to be as honest as they can. You know, because they know exactly, you know, how to, you know, find out whether the person is actually telling the truth or faking something or some information. So, but that also involves, you know, checking the documentation, advising them on documentation, on interview tips. And then we have something called a pre-departure workshop, which is a 5-hour session. And it is typically conducted by our own in-house mentors who are EGE's employees and have experience of studying abroad. They share with them not only things like travel, logistics, how to get your phone, how to fix your bank account, how to get to the university, but they also cover very important aspects like cultural fitment. When you go there, the important do's and don'ts.
But there's always a sign of worry when big money is involved. A 2-year master's program in the top 3 destinations, the United States, the United Kingdom and Canada, can cost you anything between 40 to 70 lakhs depending on the college ranking.
The undergraduate level, our tuition fees are 13 to 18,000 pounds per year for most courses. So in Indian rupees, that would be 11 to 16 lakh or so. We have lots of funding opportunities, especially for Indian postgraduate students. I'm pleased to say that more than half of our postgraduate students get some funding, more than a third are fully funded, and Indian students have been extremely successful in applying for these awards. They make it affordable, especially for our most promising postgraduate applicants.
With students dreaming big and the world getting more competitive by the minute, what is important is not to shoot in the dark, but to be absolutely sure that the effort is going to be worth it. Which is why, if you have a dream to go abroad and study, a professional touch by experienced consultants guarantees success. Next week, in a grueling education system, how easy is it to follow your heart rather than the herd, and does passion really pay your bills? We examine the profession versus passion debate.